Welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat right here on ET Now. This is a show where we get you all the stocks buzzing on news flow as well as on technicals. Talking about technicals, we have Osho Krishna joining us on the show. Very good afternoon to you, Osho. Welcome on Market Fatafat. But let's talk about the first stock that you're tracking for us in KEC International. Most of the times, this particular counter is in focus on back of order wins. It also bagged one order on Thursday itself. But on the charts, where do you see KEC International headed?
Very good afternoon, everyone. Well, KEC International was in the radar from the morning time. Approximately 470 was the decent level where I was expecting a decent rise in this counter, and it has surged approximately 8% in today's session. So even now also on technical chart, we are witnessing a sloping trend line breakout, and this rebound has taken place from the 200-day SMA on the daily charts. So from here onwards, we can expect the rally to continue. The immediate upside or the supply zone for this counter is approximately around 500 to 510. So we have to keep a very close radar on these levels. Once it surpasses 510, then from there onwards, we can see a continuation in the uptrend. But for the time being, one should wait for some cool off towards 475, 480 for fresh initiation in this counter for immediate upside target of 500 and 510.
Keep an eye out on those levels for KEC International. Let's move on and talk about Blue Star. Now, this stock is in focus as the board is going to be meeting to consider a bonus issue of shares, and this is going to be on 4th of May. The proposal is mainly for the considering of bonus shares. So on the back of that, let's keep an eye out on this one. As of now, it's given up all this morning gains, trading as flat as it could be shared.
All right, moving on, let's talk about steel strip wheels. This one is in focus on back of the April sales. If you look at the stock price at one point in time, steel strip wheels was down over 4%. Right now, it is recovered from those day's lowest point. The company reported gross sales of about 390 crore rupees in month of April versus 410 crore rupees a year ago, while the volumes were flat on a year-on-year basis. They're saying that the correction in steel alloy prices led to the lower sales value for the company. In the month of April, they've also reported a 48% year-on-year improvement in export volumes, which is positive for the stock. This is what an analyst had to mention. So, but nevertheless, it kind of reported a lower April sales, a drop in it on year-on-year basis, flat volumes. Therefore, the stock is under pressure, down about 1.8% as we speak.
Let's move on and talk about BEL on the charts then. Osho, how is this one looking like? Is it the right time to enter the stock, or maybe you would wait for a correction?
BEL has seen a decent consolidation period in the past 3 to 4 weeks, and from there onwards, we are witnessing some kind of buying traction from past 2 trading sessions. So from here onwards, we can expect that immediate upside target of 110 for short-term traders, and once it breaches those levels, then from there onwards we can see another leg of rally. But as of now, the immediate zone or the range that we can expect in BEL is approximately 99 on the downside and 110 on the higher end. So we have to play within buy on the dips, sell on the rise kind of a strategy will be working appropriately for BEL for the time being.
Moving on, Vamakshi, L&T Finance. Why is this one in focus?
Cheryl, its Q4 numbers were out on earlier over the weekend rather, and that is the reason why the stock is gaining in trade today. It's almost flat, although it's trading with a positive bias. When you look at the net interest income, that did see an uptick of nearly 15% on a year-on-year basis. When you look at the PPOP, that also saw a downtick, however, of 8.5%. The net profit, however, is up nearly 46% on a year-on-year basis. Provisions have, however, drastically declined by almost 90% on a quarter-on-quarter basis to 45 crores. When you look at some of the highlights that came in for the fourth quarter, retail book size crossed 61,000 crores in Q4. Apart from that, we also saw that the wholesale book saw accelerated reduction, declining by nearly 54% on a year-on-year basis. But nevertheless, we saw that it was the highest retail disbursements at 42,065 crores. The Q4 GNPA was 4.74%, so a bit of a spike here, 53 basis points on a quarter-on-quarter basis. The retail GNPA, however, stood at 3.41%, which is a downtick marginally of 6 basis points. So overall, a good set of numbers, but the asset quality seeing a sharp spike, and that is the reason why the stock is trading flat as of now.
Let's move on and talk about Carborandum Universal because Osho, this one is trading at a multi-year high. It's seen already a very good run-up. Would it still be a buy call, or now you would change your stance and would you sell and book profits on this?
Overall, the technical setup for this counter is very positive, and even today onwards, we are witnessing a flag pattern breakout in this counter. So as per the technical levels or technical pattern, we can expect 1160 to 1180 as the immediate target in this counter. So once it reaches 1160, 1180 zone, then from there onwards, one can look for opportunities to book profits in this counter. But as of now, it is having a potential of approximately 4 to 5% in the coming, let's say, 1 to 2 days of time frame.
Let's shift focus. Let's talk about SML Isuzu, and this particular counter is in focus on back of its April sales. At one point in time, this particular counter was trading in excess of about 8%, cooled off from those elevated levels, nevertheless holding on to gains of about 4%. When the stock was trading higher by about 8%, it had hit its highest levels in nearly 2 weeks. The company has logged in a 38% year-on-year rise in their total sales in the month of April, and that is what is reflecting in the stock price as we speak, Vinny. So SML Isuzu, another counter which is a buzz on back of its April sales number. 4% is the uptick that we can see the stock logging in right now.
Okay, Lisa, NCC, why have you picked out this stock for us today?
NCC is in focus. It has touched a 52-week high today. Not only a 52-week high, it's trading at a 5-year high, and that is after receiving multiple orders. Well, they received 6 new orders aggregating around 3,000 crore in the month of April, and out of these orders, around a majority, that is around 75%, that comes from the building division, and the other orders that relates to the electrical division as well as the water division. So, well, they have received it from the state as well as the central government, and these orders are to be executed over a period of 15 to 27 months from the date of award. So, well, out of the 15 analysts also who are tracking the stock, they have a buy rating on the stock, and which gives an upside of around 3%. So, well, on the back of this positive news, NCC is in focus today.
All right, moving on, Osho, let's talk about Bata India, and how are the charts looking for this one?
India has been one of the most lackluster or very negative returns it has generated from past 6 months. But as of now, it has seen, it is witnessing some kind of rebound from the lower levels. So from here onwards, we can expect an upside of approximately 1560 levels in a very short-term perspective, because from today onwards, in today's session, we have witnessed a consolidation breakout in Bata India. So we can expect approximately 50 to 60 point of rally in coming 1 to 2 trading sessions. So for short-term traders, one can look for opportunity in Bata India, but overall the trajectory or overall the technical parameters are still not very much favorable for a bullish trend. So as of now, only it is lucrative for short-term traders.
Okay, lucrative for short-term traders. That's the word on Bata from Osho. But let's move on, talk about eMudra. This one is in focus on the back of its numbers. Look at the revenue from operation, up almost 70% on a year-on-year basis, 77 crores versus 45 crores last year. In terms of the operating performance also, it's been a strong performance on that front as well. EBITDA seeing a growth of 28%, while in terms of the EBITDA margins, a slight bit of a decline that has come in there, actually a considerable decline of around 1,000 basis points in terms of the EBITDA margins. So that's one concern that you're keeping an eye out on. But other than that, in terms of the profits of the company, also a growth of 46% on a year-on-year basis. Yes, the margin front is something that we're watching out for, but other than that, we're seeing a good up move in the stock as well today, up almost 2% in trade share.
All right, moving on, Osho, let's talk about Graphite India. This one is a counter that is pretty volatile because it kind of tracks its movement with the graphite electrode prices globally. But on the charts, are you able to see a clear trend for this particular counter?
Well, the broader picture for this counter is still downwards, but what we are witnessing from past 3 weeks, that it is gaining a lot of volume traction has been witnessing in this counter at the lower levels. So from here onwards, one can expect a target of nearly 350 in short-term perspective, which is the 200-day SMA. So near approximately 350 will be a very strong resistance for this counter, but one can definitely look for opportunities in between So once it breaches 350 in a decisive manner, then we can conclude that this counter has reversed from the downtrend, and from there onwards we can see a very strong upside movement also. But for short term, 350 should be kept as a immediate target for short term traders.
About Varun Beverages, healthy set of numbers coming in for this particular counter in the quarter gone by. It reported their numbers as per Q1 CY23. And if you look at the numbers, 68% uptick coming in on a year-on-year basis for the profit number, 429 crore rupees. If you look at the revenue, saw an uptick of about 37.8% coming in at around 30,952 crore rupees. Also, if you look at the EBITDA margin, 20.2% versus 18.5% is the uptick that is logged in for the EBITDA margin as well. So a healthy set of quarterly numbers coming in for this particular counter. But not just that, if you look dwell in deeper as to what Varun Beverages has done, is the fact that they have also announced a stock split. So on back of that, this particular counter is focused. They said that they would split each of their shares into two. So on back of that, you have Varun Beverages that is in a focus in today's trading session. They've approved a share split of its existing shares in the ratio of 1:2 in order to boost their liquidity and make its stock more attractive to small investors. Also, the chairman said that the board has recommended the split of existing equity shares of company from one equity share having a face value of 10 rupees per share into two equity shares having face value of 5 rupees per share. So on back of that, you have stock that is in focus. Nevertheless, it is down in trade today, Vinay, as we speak. That's Varun Beverages.
Let's move on and talk about Gujarat Ambuja exports on the charts. And Osho, seen a good up move coming in this one in the last 1 month. Surely a pickup that we've seen for the stock. Do you think that's here to stay, and how much more upside should one be looking at there?
This counter has gained traction after 5 months of halt or 5 months of consolidation. So in month of April, it has given a breakout approximately around 250, 265, 255 levels. And what we have witnessed that it has sustained above the 200-day SMA for, let's say, 1 month of time period. So from here onwards, we can expect that the upside or the potential in this counter is to move towards upside of 340, 350 levels in the short-term perspective. So we might see that this kind of a rounding bottom pattern formation is there in this counter. So we can expect a reversal from short to medium-term perspective. So one should definitely keep this counter in radar from investment perspective, not for a trading perspective.
Right, moving on, Vamashi, let's talk about Kotak Mahindra Bank. This one came out with its numbers over the weekend.
Absolutely, Cheryl. This counter is in focus on the back of those numbers. We're seeing that the company reported an overall above expectation set of numbers. NII came in above expectations. PAT was above, while asset quality for this counter was in line. When we look at the net interest income, that's one uptick of almost 37% on a year-on-year basis. Operating profit also came in higher by almost 43% on a year-on-year basis, while provisions are down nearly 1% sequentially. PAT came in higher by almost 30% on a year-on-year basis, and GNPA that also saw an improvement of 12 basis points, standing at 1.78%, while the net NPA was down nearly 6 basis points on a sequential basis. Advances did see an uptick of 18% on a year-on-year basis, while deposits were also up by nearly 16% year-on-year. Now, we also have a note that came in from CLSA. They're highlighting that the growth is quite strong across the sector, across banks. In fact, when we look at the NIMs, they've definitely seen an uptick, but they're also seeing that improving retail deposit momentum will be a key factor for Kotak Mahindra Bank. Now, nevertheless, CLSA has in fact downgraded its rating because they saw that there was a up move in Kotak Mahindra Bank, and the CEO transition could also be a near-term overhang. So given that, CLSA has actually downgraded its rating from buy to outperform, but nevertheless hiked their target price.
Let's also listen in to the CFD of Kotak Bank, that's Uday Kotak, on the fourth quarter numbers. What more he had to say on that?
We as a bank can grow at 1.5 to 2 times nominal GDP. And I'm just giving you this as a thumb rule. Therefore, if nominal GDP is say around 11%, 11 to 11.5%, we should be working in broadly this range, which is what I think is a sustainable basis for any bank to grow over a period of time. Of course, there are many areas where we think we are pushing the envelope and growing even probably faster than the rate of multiple to nominal GDP. If you take a multiple of 2, you come to one number. If you take a multiple of 1.5, you come to one number. And there are specific areas where we can even look at growing faster. So this is our broad outlook and something which I believe is sustainable over a long period of time.
All right, let's move on. Lisa, let's talk about Ahluwalia contracts and why is this one in focus?
Ahluwalia contracts, they received a significant order of around 2,400 crore, and that is for the redevelopment of the iconic railway station, that is CST. This is from the Rail Land Authority, and the order inflow after this order, it stands at around 3,006 crore till date. Well, already Ahluwalia contracts, they have a robust order book of around 9,000 crore, and the order size and the order book, that is the highest in the history of the company. Well, the government, that forms around 82%, and the Rail Authority, that is also from the government. So the higher proportion that comes from the government, while the private segment, that forms around 18%. So the brokerage is also bullish on the stock, as they say that the strong order book, also the strong liquidity position and experienced bandwidth of the management, that holds those are the growth drivers for the company. And also the government's focus on infrastructure development, that provides the necessary tailwinds for the company's prospects. So well, Ahluwalia contracts is in focus on the back of the significant order received by them.
Okay, let's move on and talk about Concor on the chart. So, Osho, this one has seen a consolidation in the last 6 months, and now it just seems like, they have been gaining traction in the last 1 week to last 1 month period. Is that an indication of a positive up move coming in on the charts for Concor?
Overall, on technical charts, it was having a very strong resistance in the zone of 615 to 620. So in today's session, as we are witnessing that 620 is about to breach on a very decisive manner. So from here onwards, we can expect that the counter can reverse from here onwards, and the potential upside should be immediate potential upside should be 680 levels. So one should definitely keep this counter in their radar, because I am having a very bullish approach in this counter. Once it breaches in a very decisive closing manner above 620, then from there onwards we can see the upside rally in this for short to medium term perspective.
Okay, let's move on and talk about Sanghi Industries. Now, this one is in focus on the back of an Economic Times report that has come in. What we are understanding is that Shree Cement is in a non-binding talk to acquire between 40% and 72% stake in Sanghi Cement for an enterprise value of around 6,000 crores. Now, this is according to the ET reports that have come in today. We will be keeping an eye on this one. As of now, the stock is up as much as 5% in trade. Let's watch out for what actually pans out. As of now, the report is suggesting it's just a non-binding agreement that Shree Cement is in with Sanghi Industries.
All right, moving on, let's talk about Cummins and Osho. How is this capital goods major looking like to you on the charts?
Overall, capital goods sector is looking very promising as of now, and Cummins India has already seen a decent correction from the levels of 1700 towards 1500 zone, and approximately it is trading at the 50% retracement as of now. So it is still having the potential to retest the 52-week high of 1700. So from there onwards, we can even see a fresh breakout in this counter. So from here onwards, immediate basis 100 point is on the chart, and from there onwards, we can expect more 150 points in the coming period.
Right, let's shift focus and let's talk about Ashoka Buildcon, and this one is under pressure in today's trading session. Remember, a month ago or so, we had picked up some news where NHAI had debarred the company, and today the company has informed the exchanges that the NHAI has withdrawn the letter of award for one of a project, that's 4-lane project in the state of Bihar, and this is because the NHAI debarred the company and the contract therefore could not be signed. So now NHAI has formally gone ahead and withdrawn the letter of award, and on back of that you saw the stock actually fall as much as 4% when the news flow had come in. As you can see it on your screen, the dip coming in on the charts, and from there on it's actually recovered some of its losses, now trading lower by approximately 2% as we speak. That's Ashoka Buildcon.
Let's move on and talk about Steel Authority of India, or SAIL as we know it. Osho, on the charts, what are the indications you're getting for this one?
Recent up move in today's session, approximately 2.5% on a positive note. and these rebound has formed from the basis of 200-day SMA on daily chart. So this is looking very promising as of now. Even on the higher end, we are expecting 88.50 to 89 levels in a very short-term perspective. So once it breaches 89 levels in a decisive closing manner, then it can even retest the levels of 90 or 93 also. But as of now, 89 is the immediate resistance that we can witness for short-term perspective.
All right, moving on, Vamakshi, let's talk about Ultratech Cement. This one also came up with its numbers over the weekend. How were they?
Well, Cheryl, an inline set of numbers is what Ultratech Cement has actually posted. When we look at the sales figure, that is up 18% on a year-on-year basis to 18,562 crores. When we look at the EBITDA, that is up 5%. The margins, however, have declined by 200 odd basis points from 19% to 17%. But it is the net profit that is down nearly 36% on a year-on-year basis. Apart from that, when we look at some other Q4 highlights that came in for the counter, domestic sales grew by 15% with capacity utilization of 95%. Realizations did improve, but the cost also picked up. Nevertheless, we saw that the operating EBITDA improved to 1,060 per metric ton from 900 metric ton in the last quarter. We also had a note that came in from CLSA. They highlighted that the Q4 results were largely in line with what they were expecting. The capacity expansion plans are largely on track, but nevertheless, they've downgraded their rating on Ultratech Cement following a sharp rally that we saw in Ultratech, and in fact, they've gone ahead, downgraded their rating from outperform to underperform, but nevertheless, they've hiked their target price from 7,800 to 7,900 per share. And on the back of that, Ultratech Cement is declining in trade today, down nearly 1.5% as we speak.
Okay then, Osho, ONGC on the chart. So what should we be expecting from this one? A good move?
ONGC, if we will be looking at the financial returns, then it is at par what it was in the previous previous year's April month. So from here onwards, what we are witnessing on the technical chart, that it is forming a rounding bottom formation. So it will be very interesting to see that whether this time it will breach the levels of 165, 170 odd zone. If it happens, then from here onwards, 40 points will be 40 points of upper rally can be seen in this counter in current financial year. So one should definitely keep this counter in their radar. 170, any closer above 170 can boost this counter towards 200, 210 levels from medium term perspective.
All right, Lisa, moving on, let's talk about Atul Auto, and this particular counter is in immense pressure in today's trading session. Why is it?
It's down nearly 9%, and that comes on the back of a significant drop in its April sales number. The company announced its sales performance, and they sold around 715 units during April 2023, which was a drop of around 55% on year-on-year basis. Even on month-on-month basis, it was down around 77%. Well, the management attributed this to its delay in being compliant with the OBD2 norms, and also the couple of certifications for its diesel vehicles that is also pending. So the management highlighted on this that they will be receiving the certificates shortly. Also, another reason for this is that compared to it's a three-wheeler, so compared to its other three-wheeler peers, that is Bajaj Auto and Mahindra, it is lagging behind them. While Bajaj Auto, they reported a 250% year-on-year growth in their sales. Mahindra reported around 85% year-on-year growth in their sales. So, well, Atul Auto is in focus, and it's declining. It's under pressure on the back of weak numbers reported by the company.
On and talk about RPG Life Sciences. This one is also in focus on the back of its numbers. Year-on-year basis, when you're looking at the numbers, we're seeing a decent performance in terms of revenue growth of around 14% for the company. EBITDA performance also seeing an improvement coming in there as well. We're seeing the EBITDA at seeing a growth of around 18%. While margins also seeing a slight improvement of around 40 basis points. But on a quarter-on-quarter basis, we are seeing a decline coming in terms of the revenues of the company. Maybe that is a factor coming into play for RPG Life. Today, the stock is down 4% in trade.
All right, moving on, let's talk about Indian Hotels, and this particular counter is perched at a record high level at one point in time. If you look at Indian Hotels, it's trading higher by about 3.4%, taking it to the record high of around 350.6 rupees per share. Now moved a bit lower from those elevated levels. This sort of a rise is coming in on this particular counter after analysts are seeing strong demand tailwinds for the company in the near term. Remember that they reported a sharp rise in their consolidated profit in the month of in the quarter that has gone by. Motilal Oswal has maintained a buy stance on the company, citing better than expected operating performance in the quarter gone by. They also raised their FY24-25 core profit estimates by 5% and 3% respectively. This is on normalization of the travel as well as addition of new hotels. The improvement in occupancy will be driving the strong momentum is what Motilal Oswal has noted. And not just Motilal Oswal, also ICICI Securities have reiterated buy stance on the company, citing stellar performance in the year gone by and strong demand. Dolat Capital also termed the Q for earnings healthy, but flagged expensive valuation as a concern. So all of these factors aiding to the strong performance by Indian hotels today. Remember, the stock is perched at a record high level, surging about 3% at one point in time, now trading higher about 2.3% as we speak, Winnie.
Absolutely, and on that note, that was the last talk for today. Thank you so much, Osho, Lisa, as well as Mamakshi for joining in with us. It's a goodbye from Cheryl, myself, as well as the team who put the show together.